Hello, beautiful souls. I want to share today some downloads I've received around the total solar eclipse on August 8th. So this energy update is going to cover mainly that. We're also going to be looking a little bit more at the general energies of April 2024. And before I dive into this, I just want to share that there has been just more massive resistance to getting this information out, and anything related to it that I have ever encountered before. There's been, like, I was trying to get this other video out before this and it just would not upload. It was like 2 days and so forth. And I finally got the message. It's like, this is just a delay to what really needs to be said. And so that's why I'm going live here. So hopefully this will actually get out there. So before I go into the nitty-gritty details, I think I just want to bomb you with kind of the big picture of what I'm receiving about this eclipse. Is that if you superimpose the life of Christ, and I'm going to be using some Christian symbology. I don't want that to put anybody off, because I'm looking at this from a metaphysical standpoint and looking at the big energies. And over the past few years, I've keep being shown that the Christian story, the Christian myth, the life of Jesus is very significant as a blueprint for human ascension and planetary ascension. So I personally have had some baggage around Christianity. If that is you as well, I really encourage you to drop it, because just take what is meaningful to you out of this. And I'm not meaning to bash Christianity at all either. But this is really, I think it is very appointed thing that has a lot of wisdom to point to what's going on here with human ascension and with this eclipse also in particular. Okay, so so basically what this eclipse is if you superimpose the life of Christ over the whole planetary ascension timeline, this eclipse corresponds to the crucifixion. Okay, so this is a symbolic, almost ritual crucifixion that we're about to enter into this time period. Okay, and that will have repercussions for humanity going forward after that. But we'll address that later on in this talk, and what we can do to prepare for this, and how we can really prepare ourselves spiritually as well as physically. So, all right, so I'm going to look at kind of the eclipse happens on April 8th, right? And this is a total solar eclipse. Everything is going to go dark for a big swath right through North America. And but I want to point out that it's not just that it's a great big huge solar eclipse that's not going to happen again for years and years, but there's so many astrological things happening around and related to this eclipse that I want to just briefly go over those, because I feel like these all point to they all have very similar energies around them. Okay, and so going back to February, in February 2024 here, and I went into this pretty in depth in my February energy update, but we had the North Node conjunct Chiron, and the symbol would be this one here. And what that is the wounded healer is Chiron, and conjunct the North Node. The North Node is like our destiny, right? Or our purpose, or our kind of moving forward into our higher purpose. And so what that did was kind of opened up this whole eclipse timeline, this whole eclipse season, with this kind of flushing up of old wounds so that they can be healed, and really so that we can step into our purpose. And it felt to me like super significant at the time. And it still does. Okay, so that was kind of entering this whole eclipse timeline in February. In March, we had a lunar eclipse that felt like there was a lot of power around that. I won't go into it here. You can watch my March video if you'd like a little bit more insight into that. But now moving into this window of the eclipse, which we're in this week right now, we just had Mercury go into retrograde, which is throwing a lot of communication stuff into it. The eclipses, of course, are a hiding or an occulting, right? It's a blocking out of the energy of the sun. And so it does have a lot to do with hidden energies and things being blocked. Okay. So I'm feeling this in spades. Not everybody is. And if it's not affecting you, that's awesome. But if it is, just know that this is a very, very intense energy. That we're dealing with right now. Another couple things happening. There is a comet that is called Pons, I can't remember, the comet 12P Pons Brooks, and it's known for having these little horned appearances on it as it gets closer to Earth, and it's been called the Devil's Comet. I feel like, well, you can read into that anything that you want, but comets are usually considered a symbol of impending change or transformation. Eclipses also have this association with change, transformation. So this is clearly a very, the comet appearing in the sky at the same time, it just really shows the depth and the power of this particular eclipse. And then there's one more astrological event that's very, very significant happening later this April, on April 20th. And that is Jupiter, the planet Jupiter, conjuncting the planet Uranus. So that is also associated with change, transformation, and the growth and awakening of human consciousness. It also has a connection with the values of freedom versus totalitarianism. All right, so there's those energies going on, and that's going to really play into these eclipse energies in a really big way. So a couple things that I wanted to bring up, and I was just I was just guided to do this live stream right away and just get this out. So I'm not completely I'm hoping that I can get everything out there that wants to be said. But another thing I'd like to share is that back in December, I have a group as part of the ministry. I do twice monthly gatherings, which is free to whoever is feeling pulled to join us. But we did a group oracle reading for the year of 2024, and the person who pulled the card for April pulled the Tower card. And I feel like, I wasn't quite aware at the time of all the stuff that was going to come down and come to a head in April. But now that I look back at it, it's like, wow, this card is really, really reflecting all the energies that we're seeing in the astrology and what's happening here. But the interesting thing about it was, it's, the Tower card is not meant to be negative. It's meant to be a radical change and transformation, and it can actually be what triggers a beautiful new growth. Okay, but the particular deck that was used was, I think it's called, not sure, it was like some kind of nature tarot, and it's actually, I don't know if you can see it, but it's full of butterflies. And so I'm feeling that we need to really, really be aware of that. This is a positive change. Okay, this is a positive change, but it may not feel like that, right? So it's really, really important to hold the big picture in mind. Okay, and so this is also what I was told when I felt into the energies of the eclipse and asked for Akashic guidance around that. First thing they showed me was this figure with two faces, one facing forward and the other behind. I have a feeling that it probably has something to do with Janus, the Roman god of beginnings and transitions. It's also a god of war and peace. Okay, and so the message that I got was, to navigate this time portal, it's important to have an accurate understanding of origins, where we're coming from. and also of our intended destination, where we're going, okay? So when these are accurate in our vision, then we can use the power of this time portal to amplify or consolidate our personal power, okay, and our collective power, because it operates on both levels, right? So we can open a portal of power. I was told to open a portal of power within our hearts and within our mind, and which energetically will help us to step into a higher level of consciousness. And they said this is done by going within, okay? They say the key word is to consolidate, meaning that we're bringing all existing timelines to center into the heart and blessing them with our hearts, pouring blessings on all time space. And what they told me was that this was indicated the center of the cross, right? So part of what's happening with the eclipse is that we're being encouraged, with the darkening of the sun. The sun represents light, it represents creator, right? The whole creator and everything that is good. But when we darken that, we have no choice but to go within and find the light within. Okay. And so this is something that I think is usually taught by very, very traditional societies, indigenous societies, is not to go out in an eclipse and look at it, but actually to go within to pray and to, look to that light within and to sustain, because what we're doing here is bridging. This is an incredibly pivotal moment, because what this is in actuality is like this gap between dimensions, okay, that we as a collective, humanity as a whole, the earth has been trucking along in this 3D kind of state of consciousness. And where this eclipse is going to, what this eclipse is going to trigger is a massive awakening into the fourth dimension. Okay, now we know we're ultimately headed way up into the fifth dimension, into New Earth, but we've got the whole fourth dimension to traverse. Okay, and there's not time to go into all of it here, but I'm going to encourage you, if you want to learn more about this, I have a link in the description box below to an event called the New Earth, Elders of the New Earth Symposium. It's happening next week. It's free. You can just sign up and you'll get videos from a number of people talking about New Earth energies. I will be speaking in that on human evolution and AI, and I go in quite into detail into how all this connects with the planetary timeline. Okay. But basically, we are right now at this transition point. Many of us have been through this or are going through this individually, this opening up into the fourth dimension. But we're going to see this massive, massive awakening into that, and it's going to trigger a lot of chaos, right? If you've ever been through a dark night of the soul yourself, that's what we're heading into on a collective level. And I'm not saying this to scare anybody, but to prepare us. Okay, because we can prepare for it, and the more that we're aware of it, aware of what's going on, and keeping that big picture in mind, the better is it's going to be. We're going to be able to hold our energy and stay grounded and help those around us to realize what's happening, right? So, okay. They told me some information about the cross and the symbol of the cross, which I think I'm going to leave for another video. But I think what's important to remember right now is that we're being encouraged to go within during this eclipse season, to really enter into the heart and to invite a lot of light into our hearts, into our minds. There are three energy centers: heart, mind, and the gut, right? All of which, we use all of these, but we're really being encouraged now to move more and more into the heart and make the heart the ruler or the king or the sovereign over, all the rest of us. Okay. And so this particular eclipse and this time, this whole week that we're in, is a beautiful time to bring a lot of light into the heart and to really go into that heart center, because it will prepare us and prime us for everything that's ahead. We're going to be asked to take on the spirit of the sun. Okay, and the sun spirit is basically it's Christ consciousness or Buddha consciousness, Krishna consciousness. Every tradition has a symbol like this, right? And it's talking about that life energy, the light energy, that we can really, when as we move up and ascend, that's what we actually bring into our hearts and take on. I would like to invite you to an event this coming Sunday, April 7th, which is a guided meditation event that I will be giving to anyone who signs up on my email list. And I offer twice monthly gatherings, but this one especially is the day before the eclipse, and it's meant to prepare us to help to prime these energy centers and to really bring light into our bodies, into our minds, into our hearts. Okay, and doing that as a ritual with others is going to really amplify the power of that. um, so um, Oh, and then the other thing that I really wanted to mention is that all these things, right? The Jupiter conjunct Uranus, the Chiron conjunct the North Node, the solar eclipse itself. One of the biggest, probably the prime thing that we're dealing with here, is going to be the issue of sovereignty, right? It is, which means coming into your own power, connecting and becoming one with your own Christ consciousness, right? So that you can hold the truth of who you are and really be here to fulfill your own individual purpose here on earth, right? Because as individuals, we can come together, and as long as we don't lose our own individuality, when individuals who are really fully in their own truth come together, then their energies combine to create something incredible, right? Something far greater than the sum of its parts, right? So sovereignty is going to be a key issue going forward in the days, weeks, months, years, and maybe even decades and centuries going forward as we move through this 4D time period. We're going to be, it's going to revolve a lot about issues of sovereignty and control. Are you going to be looking within for control, or are you going to be controlled from without? Okay, and these are really basic things, but they're going to show up everywhere, right? They're going to show up in our governments. They're going to show up in the way we interact with social media. They're going to show up with AI. They're going to show up in our relationships and in our relationship with the earth and all sorts of things, right? So it's really critical that we mind our boundaries, right? And that we really seek the truth within ourselves. And this is the principle of free will choice, and it's very central to navigating the fourth dimension. Okay. And then one last word that I wanted to speak, and it's somewhat a warning, but it's also kind of an encouragement, is that things may get very chaotic moving forward, this year and for the next few years. So it's really important to, first of all, have some ritual that you can use to ground yourself, right? Have that spiritual, routine to help yourself stay grounded, stay centered, and stay connected with your inner self, with your higher source of power, right? That's a number one. Number two is, as much as you can, connect with your neighbors in ways that are mutually supportive. Getting to know your neighbors, whether that's neighbors in a metaphorical sense, right? Your soul tribe, which could be anywhere on the earth, but also your physical next door neighbors, right, in your local area. People are going to need to start coming together and supporting each other because things are going to get rough. But when we have that mutual support, that's how we get through it. All right. And as light workers, we're here really to shine that light from within, because people may not see it. There may be people that are just have a hard time seeing the light. So when we can really be that presence, even if you don't feel like you know what your purpose is, you have a beautiful light within you, and that's going to be such a blessing to everyone around you moving forward during these times. Okay, and then also, again, back to this tarot card, we have the squirrel, and she's sitting there looking at all this stuff going down, but she's got her nuts right there, and it's going to be very wise, I think, to, if you haven't yet stored up some extra few months worth of food, water, any kind of emergency supplies. Hopefully we won't need those, but you never know, and it's really, really best to be prepared. Plus, if something does go down and you have some extra, and you know, that's another way we can be there for our neighbors and to help to build and create and maintain strong communities, because fourth dimension and the way we're traversing through this is all about finding our own sovereignty and then connecting with others so that we have strong community. We're going, as we go through 4D, we're going to be building these heart connections with others, and that's what's going to pull us through this into 5D and the new earth that we're here to build and here to bring into the world, right? So I just wish you all the best for this eclipse. Do enjoy the eclipse season, whether you choose to go out and see it or join me and just sitting inside and going within. Enjoy the season and focus on what we're building together, the beautiful new earth and the 5D worlds that we're here to create. Keep that in mind as we move forward. That's what we're here for. That's what we're doing. And so it is, right? Take care, and remember, you were born to be free.